Hey guys, welcome to this quick video on TypeScript. TypeScript is essentially another programming language, but don't freak out because it's not a whole new language, and I'll explain that in just a minute. So TypeScript is actually a superset of JavaScript, meaning it includes the whole JavaScript language and then a little bit more. And what TypeScript adds, the main thing it adds is types, just like it sounds. Basically that we are assigning variables and data certain types just to kind of limit what can go in there and to help make our code more efficient. It is a static type checker, and that is one of the coolest things about it, is just that it checks for errors before your code is run and determines what is an error and what's not based on the kinds of values that you're assigning or being operated on. And that's called type checking. And so before you even push your code or before you even open it up in the live server or try and debug it, it's going to help you find some of those errors that can be like the annoying little things that really frustrate you. So it will save time and help you be more productive in your programming by using this. It's also an open source code, meaning it can be developed, modified, and distributed and changed by the users, which is really cool because it's always going to be improving. There's always going to be new things that are coming out that you can do with it, and you can find a lot online already on what you can do with TypeScript. So, moving on, how does it work? Like I was saying, it assigns types to JavaScript, and we use types already. Sometimes we know there's different types of data, but instead of just knowing the types, we are going to assign types to like our variables or our constants or whatever, just to help the TypeScript kind of help us out. Some of the common ones we know are strings, numbers, booleans, arrays. We started learning about objects. It's really cool. You can also create types that can kind of limit what you can put in a variable as well, and I'll show you some of that. Instead of creating a JS file, you're going to create a TS file, TS for TypeScript, and then you can convert it to JavaScript when you're done. 4 reasons I'd recommend using TypeScript is, again, because it catches those common mistakes, makes that code easier to read and debug for others, which is really useful when we work on team stuff. And if you get a position in a company, there's probably going to be a lot of teamwork. It does not change the runtime of behavior of the JavaScript code, meaning that once you convert it to the JavaScript, even if there was errors in the TypeScript code, it's not going to stop running the JavaScript code, which errors in TypeScript aren't always errors, so it's good to know that when you convert it, it's going to run as long as that's what you intended it to run as. Lastly, it's easy to learn. It's not a new framework, and so I'd really recommend checking this out and learning a little bit more on how to use it, just to have another skill on your tool belt. We already know the basics of JavaScript, and so this just adds a little bit more, but it will make you more marketable and a better programmer, and probably save you some time on little errors and stuff. How can you use TypeScript? I'm going to show you some examples today. I'm going to show you how you can define, or I kind of like to think of it as assigning types to variables, how you can compose or make your own types, how you can make a structure using types that helps your data stay correctly formatted, and how to use types when you're sending data to functions or sending variables to functions. And then I'll show you how to use the TypeScript compiler and the TSC, and what that is you take your TS file, you put it in the compiler, the TSC, and it spits out the JavaScript code. It's really easy to use once you have it installed. It is a little bit of a process to get it installed. You have to install npm and the Node.js, and then you have to follow a tutorial to get it set up in Visual Studio Code. But once you get it in, it's really easy to use. Visual Studio Code already has the language support, so you can create TS files and you can do all the stuff that I'm showing you without the TSC. However, if you want to convert your TS to a JS, you do need this TSC eventually. If you need help doing that, just let me know in the comments and I can help you walk through it. It did take a little bit for me to get it working on my computer. Alright, and then these are just some resources that I used when preparing this presentation. I'll share those in the discussion board as well. Let's move on to the programming. Alright, so the first thing we're going to look at here is defining types. And so this is the biggest basic thing that TypeScript adds is the types. So when we declare a variable, traditionally we just say let and then we say the name of our variable. So I'm saying let lucky. And so then when I'm later on using that variable, I can say lucky equals 21. That's fine, it's number. However, if we assign a type, we can limit what types of data are going to get stored into that variable. So I can say I only want this to allow strings. And now you can see I have an error right here because when I declared it, it is not a string. And it says, again, it's not assignable to type string. So what I have to do is I have to change that into a string for the error message to go away. And that will be helpful when you're running your code because you don't get that error that, oh, you accidentally used a number instead of a string. However, though, sometimes you want any type of data to be accepted in there, so instead of saying a certain type of data, you would just say any. So again, assigning the type, defining the type, it just limits what types of data can get sent into that variable and stored in that variable. The second thing you can do is composing types, so you can make your own type to kind of limit what values can be assigned to a variable. So let's make a type called animals. So my type animals, we can say it has lion, we can say it has tiger, we can say it has bear, and just for fun, let's add unicorn. So that's a type. So anytime I assign this type to a variable or a data set or whatever, these are the only values that will be acceptable in there. So let's declare the variable favorite animal or fav animal, and I want it to only be able to accept these 4 values that I've chosen. So I need to assign it that type that I've created. So you do the colon and then the type. Alright, so now if I'm down here and I'm messing around with my variable and I'm assigning it different values, I can assign it anything that's in that data set and it will be fine. So I can say lion. Alright, perfect. It likes that. Let's do it again. And you can see it pops up my options right here when I start typing of what I can assign to it. Let's do unicorn. Awesome. Okay, moving on. Let's try one more time. Let's see. Maybe I really want to put a dog in there. You see I automatically have the error because it's saying, no, it's this type, and you can only assign these things for this type. And so you have to go back up and look in and see, oh, I only can assign that. Or if you really want dog in there, you can just add that right in there to your data set. It doesn't have to be the same type of data. You can also add numbers in here. You can add a boolean. You can put whatever you want to in the type, and then it just limits it to that. So now I can assign it like 23 and it will accept it because I added that into the type when I composed it. Alright, moving on, we can assign types, we can make our types. You can also use types to have a kind of a pattern. They call it enforcing the shape of an object. It helps me to think of like a pattern of an object. Like if you say I have a person and they have a first name, a last name, and age, you can make sure that all your persons, all your people have those 3 characteristics, those 3 properties. So to do a structural type system, you start by saying interface right here. I'm going to call my interface or my structural type church leader. And then in here you just say the properties you want and then the type of data they should hold. So I'm going to do first name should be a string, last name should also be a string, and we'll do age, and age should be a number. And so now anytime I assign this interface type of church leader, in that object it's going to look for these 3 properties. I'll talk about this comment in just a second. So let's see, I'm going to declare a constant, a person, and I want it to be a person that has the type of church leader. I'm going to make some church leaders here. equals, and then we can put our properties. And you can see I have an error because I am missing those 3 properties. It tells me that you're missing the following properties from this type that you've assigned it. So to fix that, you need to, and it just helps you out so much. To fix that, you just need to assign it. So we'll do Russell, last name, oh, and I need to put that as a string. Last name is Nelson, and then I'm messing up right here. And then his age is 95, and we are good to go. My errors have all cleared up because I have that type, I have all those 3 properties, I'm good to go. If you think there might be a property that you want stored in there that might not be in all of them, what you can do is make like a ghost property basically, that you say the key is going to be a string, which would be the name of your property, and then it can hold any type of value. So if I have that in there, I can add as much other stuff as I want, as long as I have those 3 mandatory ones to keep that pattern. So I could add that his gender is male. I could add that his nationality is American. I can add as much as I want as long as I have those 3 main things that I declared in this type. Hey, one other really awesome thing that TypeScript helps with is making sure you're sending the right types of data to your, passing the right types of data to your functions. So right here I have the function, and I've called it power, where I want to send x and y, and then I'm going to have it return the math function of raising x to the y. And so automatically you guys know that x and y, you should have 2 numbers. But sometimes when you're typing or you're coding, whatever, you might not do it correctly, and this is the easy way to catch errors. So right here, there's no errors on my screen right now. But if I tried to send this, it would return like NaN or null, whatever, because I have a string instead of a number. And so to make sure that you catch those errors before, you can say when you send x and y, you say x has to be a number. You do that colon in the type, and you say y also has to have that type of a number. And you can see as soon as I did that, I have my error that popped up right here saying that it is not assignable because it is not a number. And so to fix that, you just have to make sure you have that number in there. It clears up the error and you're good to go. Okay, so TypeScript. Awesome. You can assign types to kind of help keep yourself organized, make sure you're sending the right types of data. You can make your own types if you're not happy with those basics and you want something a little different. You can create structures called interfaces using the type system, and you can help make sure that you are passing the right types of data to your functions. When you're done editing a TypeScript file, what you will need to do after you install the TSC, this is how it works. I have a TypeScript file, I need it to be a JavaScript file. So what you do, once you're done, you're going to go ahead and click on Terminal, and I'll show you guys how to use the TSC real quick. You open up the terminal. Once you have this installed on your computer, it's really easy to do. The TypeScript compiler, TSC, you put the name of your file after that, TypeScript /presentation.ts, and then you go ahead and hit enter, and if you watch over here, it's going to create a JavaScript file that has the same content as my TS file, just formatted a little bit differently for JS. I'll show you quick differences. We have there instead of let, and it's gotten rid of all those types that we put in here, just making it JavaScript ready. Because again, TypeScript is a superset of JavaScript, meaning it's JavaScript and a little bit more. So it just adds those extra little things for you to use to help make better code, help make more organized code, and help catch those little mistakes before they become really big annoyances. I hope you learned something new, and I hope you enjoyed watching this video. I'll post all this on the discussion board. Let me know if you have any questions or if you need any help understanding any of this. Have an awesome day. Thanks for watching.